Breaking news is out of Rowan County. Casey Parsons, the adopted mother of Erica Parsons, admitted to killing the little girl.
6 life in prison. That sentence coming down today for one of the 2 adoptive parents for Erica Parsons.
They say evil hides behind closed doors, but in this case, it lived there. In a quiet home in North Carolina, a 13-year-old girl named Erica Lynn Parsons simply vanished. No police reports, no Amber Alerts, not even a missing child poster, just silence. For nearly 2 years, no one asked where she was. No one demanded answers. And by the time someone finally did, it was already far, far too late. Erica was born on February 24, 1998 in Concord, North Carolina, to a woman named Carolyn Parsons. Her biological father was Billy Goodman, though her parents weren't together. Carolyn already had 3 other children and feared she couldn't care for Erica properly. That's when Sandy and Casey Parsons, Carolyn's in-laws, offered to adopt the little girl. In 2000, Erica was legally adopted at just 2 years old. It was supposed to be a fresh start, a better life, but behind the closed doors of the Parsons home, a nightmare was unfolding. No one knew that the people who adopted her, the ones who were supposed to protect her, would be the reason she died. But from the moment Erica was brought into the Parsons home in Salisbury, North Carolina, her life became a nightmare. They lived together for a few days. As time goes by and the girl grows older, both begin to harass her, methodically and without remorse. Casey Parsons, her adoptive mother, took the lead in the abuse. Casey beat Erica with belt buckles, wooden sticks, and metal rulers. She often struck her on the back, arms, and legs, anywhere the bruises could be hidden. Erica was made to stand in the corner for hours, and if she so much as moved, she was punished even more. Her fingers were bent back until they cracked, her hair was pulled, her face slapped. She wasn't allowed to cry. Crying meant more beatings. Casey often forced Erica to eat things no child should ever have to touch. Dog food, moldy bread soaked in hot sauce, food from the trash. She used food as punishment, withholding it for days at a time. When Erica was finally allowed to eat, it was leftovers or scraps. She was locked in closets, made to live in silence, and no one was allowed to talk to her. Sandy Parsons didn't stop any of it. In fact, he helped. Jamie testified that Sandy would hold Erica down while Casey beat her. He ignored her screams, he laughed at her fear, sometimes he beat her himself. And in her final days, when she grew too weak to even walk, Sandy didn't take her to a doctor. He helped cover it up. When Erica's body gave out in late 2011, no ambulance was called, no one tried to save her. Sandy and Casey wrapped her in trash bags, placed her inside a storage bin, and hid her body. They buried her in the backyard of Sandy's mother's house in South Carolina, pouring bleach over the remains in a sick attempt to destroy evidence. Erica suffered for nearly a decade. She was adopted at age 2. By the time she died at 13, her body had become a roadmap of pain. Stunted growth from years of malnutrition, bruises that were never treated, a spirit that was completely silenced. Her life ended not in a moment, but slowly, over years of daily abuse, isolation, starvation, and pain. And no one knew she was even gone. But seriously, what kind of mindset does it take to not just harm, but to systematically torture and ultimately kill a child? Is there even a shred of humanity left in such people? It's beyond comprehension. The brutality they inflicted on that innocent girl is something no human being should ever be capable of. With every shred of evidence and every broken story, the mystery of Erica's disappearance began to unravel. What key revelations turned this case from a tragedy into a national nightmare? It's time to explore the critical discoveries. When Jamie Parsons walked into the Rowan County Sheriff's Office on July 30, 2013, everything changed. Jamie Parsons, who is Erica's adoptive brother and the biological son of Sandy and Casey Parsons, filed the missing report. Despite Erica having disappeared in December 2011, the report was only filed in July 2013, nearly 20 months later. Investigators immediately questioned Erica's adoptive parents. Sandy and Casey Parsons claimed that Erica had gone to live with her paternal grandmother, Irene Nan Goodman, in Asheville, North Carolina. But there was a problem. No such person existed. Erica's biological father, Billy Goodman, confirmed that he had no relatives named Irene Goodman. Authorities scoured public records, databases, and school records. and found absolutely nothing. It was a fabricated name, a fabricated story. The deeper the police dug, the clearer it became. Erica hadn't gone to live with anyone. She had disappeared, and no one had reported it. Conflicting stories and erased evidence. During further interviews, Sandy and Casey's stories crumbled. Their timelines shifted. In one version, Erica left in 2011. In another, she was dropped off in early 2012. They couldn't agree on where or who dropped her off. When investigators searched the Parsons' home, what they found was disturbing. Erica's personal belongings were boxed up and hidden. Medical records had stopped years ago. There were no signs of Erica living in the house beyond 2011. It was as if she had been erased. For the Dr. Phil interview. In August 2013, Sandy and Casey appeared on the Dr. Phil show. But instead of clearing their names, the interview raised more questions. They stumbled through answers, their timelines didn't match, they couldn't remember important dates, and most disturbingly, they showed no emotion. Even Dr. Phil pressed them about their inconsistencies. Viewers across the country were left shocked. This wasn't a case of a missing child, it was something much darker. Brought in federal charges. As state authorities continued their work, the FBI stepped in. What they discovered next was sickening. Despite Erica being missing since late 2011, Sandy and Casey had continued collecting adoption assistance and government benefits for her. For nearly 2 years, they took thousands of dollars in Erica's name. In 2014, both were arrested and later convicted of federal fraud charges. The case was a financial crime. But investigators knew that behind the money, something worse had happened. Family members, including Jamie, gave detailed accounts of abuse and neglect. Erica had been starved, isolated, and beaten.
When I look at my family members, I can see in their face like they don't want me around. I tried to go find Erica. I didn't start this to go put my mom as a criminal.
But even with those testimonies, authorities still didn't know where was her body. Finally, in September 2016, Sandy Parsons confessed to investigators. He admitted to his harsh treatment of Erica, and then he did something no one expected. He led authorities to her remains. Behind a home in Chesterfield County, South Carolina, officers unearthed a shallow grave. Inside a plastic bin wrapped in trash bags, they found what was left of Erica Parsons. The autopsy was chilling. Erica had fractures in her nose, jaw, upper right arm, 9 ribs, and several vertebrae. The breaks were in various stages of healing, suggesting long-term abuse. Her body showed clear signs of chronic malnourishment. There was no one injury that caused her death because she had been dying for years. My thoughts. This wasn't just an investigation. It was a slow peeling back of a nightmare. But what breaks me the most is how long Erica suffered and how easily her pain was hidden behind lies. Even when caught, her abusers went on national TV and lied without a flicker of remorse. It was finally clear that Erica Parsons hadn't run away. She hadn't gone to stay with a mysterious grandmother. She was dead. In 2014, when the fraud charges were filed, Casey's behavior in court was cold. She denied everything, blamed everyone else. But as more testimony emerged, the truth became undeniable. Casey Parsons had systematically abused Erica for years and had done everything she could to make her disappear without a trace. Sandy, the adoptive father, was often quiet in interviews, but silence doesn't equal innocence. What was their motive? That's the part that stings the most. There was no reason, there was no moment of rage, no mental health crisis, just years of calculated, remorseless abuse. This wasn't just neglect, it was deliberate, strategic, inhuman. What about the rest of the family? Erica's biological mother, Carolyn Parsons, had no idea any of this was happening. She had trusted her in-laws. She thought Erica was being raised in a safe, stable home. The Parsons' other children, including Jamie, have carried the trauma with them. Jamie, who ultimately broke the silence, testified bravely, even against his own parents, because, as he put it, someone had to speak for Erica. This part of the story is the hardest to accept, because the people responsible weren't strangers. They were family. Casey and Sandy Parsons didn't just kill Erica Parsons. They planned it. They covered it. They profited from it. In February 2018, following the 2016 discovery of Erica's skeletal remains in a shallow grave in South Carolina, both were indicted by a grand jury on the following state charges. First-degree murder, Casey. Second-degree murder, Sandy. Felony child abuse inflicting serious injury. Felony concealment of death. Felony obstruction of justice. In August 2019, Casey Parsons pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison without parole. A few months later, in December 2019, Sandy Parsons also pleaded guilty, but to second-degree murder and related charges. He was sentenced to a minimum of 33 years and a maximum of 43.5 years in North Carolina State Prison. Both served their fraud sentences first and were later transferred to state custody. Sandy in January 2022. Casey in November 2023. Their sentences will never bring Erica back, but they will ensure that neither of them walks free again. The family's pain. Erica's biological mother, Carolyn Parsons, sat through it all. She cried during the hearings. She stood before the judge and said what no parent should ever have to say. I gave her away thinking she'd have a better life. I failed her. That guilt, that heartbreak, it lives with her every day. But so does her strength. Since Erica's death, Carolyn has fought to preserve her daughter's memory and to speak up for children who still live in silence. Her pain turned into advocacy, her grief into awareness. Erica's story has touched millions, not just because of how she died, but because of how she was forgotten. And that cannot happen again. So if you're here watching this, remember Erica. Talk about her, share her story, and most importantly, stay aware. Let's never allow another child to vanish while no one is watching. If you found this story important, please consider subscribing. It helps us continue to tell stories that matter, to expose truth, and to give a voice to those who no longer have one.